The anime starts off with a young boy waking up and wondering where he is. He sees someone who looks to be his mother, but she doesn't quite look like her. He then opens up his stat window and notices that he's gone down to level 1 and he has no name. Just then, His Majesty pulls up and marvels at the child's face. His mother tells him that he has his mouth, and our MC realizes that this man is an emperor and is wondering what in the world happened to him. They name the child Noah Ararat, and he holds the title of the 13th Imperial Prince. Noah opens his stat window and sees that the title Imperial Prince has been added to his name, realizing that he is indeed the son of an emperor and a noble among nobles. The emperor asks what affinity Noah is, and he is told that he has an affinity for water. The emperor then says that his fief shall be Almeria, a land where many of the Water clan reside. This adds a plus to his start window. The Majesty asks to see his skills, and everyone marvels at his skills, seeing it has increased from the moment he was born. They'd never heard of anyone reaching SS at this age, and all glaze him. Mir's Empire, a nation of warriors, nestled in a craggy mountain range. It's in a golden age of wealth, with an emperor who is a father to over 10 sons, known as the Imperial Princes, who are revered and adored by the people as the most renowned of nobles. Noah wakes up, and we are 6 years in after his reincarnation. He's realized that his status looks different to everyone else, and these are additions made by his subordinates. The S added to water came from Almeria, the fief he was granted at birth, whilst the others came from his maids. So in other words, he grows stronger by gaining more subordinates, and his level can be raised infinitely. The maids thank him for his patience, and as he walks off, they glaze his composure and aura for one so young. GE dines and acknowledges that his capabilities are limited at age 6, and one of the maids grabs his attention. She is Evelyn, a beautiful maid who specializes in hospitality. Evelyn lets him know that the Crown Prince and the 4th Prince have come to visit and tell him to take his time eating before going to see them. However, he can't take his time since it's the Crown Prince and visits them at once. He greets his brother Albert and Henry. They tell him he'll be a fine chancellor one day, and Albert brings him a present which coats its casing in a dark aura. Albert tells the servant to open it, and Noah is hit with all the memories the sword has left in people. Albert tells him to pick it up, and he does. Albert tells him that the sword is called Leviathan, and it's a water magic sword known as the strongest in the Empire, and about 120 people have died trying to master it. Henry tells him not to worry since those not meant to wield it are killed by its curse the moment they lift it, and for most, just carrying the box is agonizing. So, anyone with a water affinity at SS level can wield it. The prince walks out and apologizes for interrupting his morning meal. However, Noah notes that they were testing him, and if he says that out loud, then he'll be killed. Outside the castle, Henry asks Albert if that was okay, since the sword is priceless. Albert doesn't care and tells him that it's better off in the hands of someone as brilliant as Noah. Besides, it's because he's brilliant that he needs experience being bitten by his own pet. That evening, Noah asks Zoe if something is wrong, as she looks unhappy. She tells him not to worry, but he tells her to speak up. She requests some time off because there was a flood in her hometown recently, and the farm she lived in has been washed away, leaving her mother with no work, and her relatives are now telling her to work in the red light district. Noah cuts her off and tells her that he will employ her mother at the mansion and will put her in charge of licking gear, paying her 10 reen per month. Zoe is shocked, saying she's never heard of such a job. However, he tells her that there is an unused house in the western outskirts of the capital, and her mother can use it. This makes her tear up, and she thanks him for his generosity. Noah thinks that a former servant of his working in the red light district will be detrimental to his title, and he expects her to serve him for the rest of his life. He calls Dylan the butler and tells him that there's been a flood in Zoe's hometown, Dasso. He tells him to buy as much land as possible, saying there will be villains trying to con people who've lost their livelihood like Zoe's family, so he should secure their living. Dylan is surprised to see Noah handling a situation he's never experienced before with such foresight. He asks Noah how he will procure the funds, since it'll estimate to about 700,000 rian, the annual income of an adult man in the capital, in 120 rian, and even his retainers earn 8,000 rian per year. And the 13th prince household has about 500,000 rian to work with, so he needs 200,000. He tells Dylan to sell the land they own in the capital. However, Dylan is hesitant since it's a gift from the emperor, and selling it without his permission would be a crime against the imperial family. Despite this, Noah tells him to carry on, as he'll accept his father's reproach. Dylan thanks him, and Noah remembers that he came from the same area as Zoe. The next day, Henry meets Noah, and Noah rushes to his knees. He asks him if he's going anywhere, and Noah tells him that he is purchasing land in the area called Dasso, which has flooded and is going to inspect. Henry then asks if he's going to use the magic sword, but Noah tells him that he won't and hasn't used it since he felt some sort of power within it. Henry tells Noah that he looked into the sword and it seems to have a will of its own. The sword only obeys the it recognizes as its master. He tells him that he can carry it, but he shouldn't use it, saying he will die. They arrive in Dasso, and from the looks of it, most ruined homes must have lost their land deeds, so they'll have to purchase them based on the government offices lists. Zoe is surprised that he ascertained that from just one look. He tells Zoe to come with him since he needs to know the lay of the land. The people go in to eat the distributed food from the government. But Noah sees that it's bland and it's barely more than boiled water. Also tastes horrible and spoiled. An old man then says that they are just lucky to eat and must accept gracefully. But Noah is still shocked that the Empire will distribute food like this. Suddenly, a local government official, Lord Garrel, comes and says the food looks good despite him clogging his nose shut. The servers then tell him that his portion is in the mansion, and Noah approaches him saying he hired these servers for kickbacks. But Garrel says he is talking a lot for a little boy, and this is tough work for them, so taking a little thing back is a privilege afforded to those who give so much. They laugh at Noah, but Noah finds it's condescending. This causes Leviathan Ito resonate. He says that getting rich off of rations intended for disaster victims is a crime, but the fool doesn't listen and walks up to him with his sword. Noah tells him that his sentence, his death, and Leviathan quickly listens to his call in a badass way. He can feel Leviathan's anger and tell it to show him its strength, filling the air around him with water. However, Noah says that the string only flaunt their power before the weak because they fear someone stronger. He tells Leviathan to use that power for the good of the people and quickly equips the mighty blade. Garrel swings at him but is immediately cut down L. They try to apprehend Noah but are quickly slaughtered by Leviathan's power. The Knight's commander, Rowan, arrives, and the foolish servers beg him to prosecute the child for Garrel's death. However, Rowan notices that it is the prince and quickly apologizes for being unaware of his visiting. He introduces himself as Rowan Green and says that he was recently appointed to maintain security in this region and is a servant to Prince Henry. He quickly tells everyone to respect the noble before them, and so they all bow. Noah tells him that someone hired these food distributors for kickbacks, and he simply punished the man behind it all. He tells them to deal with his accomplices, giving them the needed punishment. He then tells him to add more soup, so much that he can stand a spoon in it and it wouldn't fall. The people all get to praising Prince Noah. Back in the capital, Albert is informed that Noah made the mad dog Leviathan submit to him, and notes that Noah may be more useful than he thought. Noah is summoned by the Empire. He has heard the reports that he sold the land he was gifted. However, instead of punishment, the Emperor thanks him as his efforts have prevented the emergence of anyone trying to take advantage of the flood. As if these natural disasters were followed by a man-made disaster, they would have had to commit imperial resources to cleaning up the mess. He asks him how he knew of this, and Noah tells him that one of his maid just happened to come from the village. The Emperor says he would like to see Noah's abilities again. Noah notices that it's not just human subordinates that add to his stats, and the Emperor praises him as his water magic is now at SSS. He tells Noah to continue to aid him with his talent, and he joyfully agrees. The next day, Noah arrives on Raid Street in Mears. He heard there was a popular singer here, and gave Zoe more work to thank her for the help with her home village. The stage lights up, and the singing performance begins. Her name is Alice, and Noah finds her good but thinks her technique has room for improvement, though he can tell she sings earnestly and takes it seriously. A group of fools barge in and get on the stage. They approach the girl, telling her that she's not going to earn enough to pay off her father's debt if she sings like this. She tells them that this is all she has, and they grab onto her, saying that there's a way a woman can repay those debts, surrounding her like dogs. However, Noah steps in and recites Imperial Law 67, Article 2. It is illegal to make children assume their parents' debts. They grab him, and he quickly stabs them with Leviathan's aura. They run out and tell him that they'll remember this, but he simply tells the man in charge to send those men to him if they return. He realizes that he is a prince, as does everyone at the event. Noah tells Alice that the singing was nice, and asks how much her living expenses are. He tells her that he'll pay her 28 reen a month if she concentrates on her singing, and will increase the amount if she improves. She thanks him, and he tells her to carry on the show. Later, when he arrives at the mansion, he notices those scum fools at the gate and is told that they came to apologize to him. He realizes that they must have learned his title and tells the maid to send them away. A prince isn't someone they can just see whenever they want. His brother Henry congratulates him and says that granting an audience to men like them without a second thought would only devalue the standing of royalty and Noah's princedom. Noah tells him that that's true, but he has another reason as well. They go inside and he tells Henry about it all, explaining that letting the fools think he was still angry would stop them from bothering the singer any longer. Henry is impressed that he could think that far at his age, saying that Frank and Gary are close to him in age but don't think like him at all. He says that despite all the teachings Gary receives, he still hasn't learned his manners. Noah notes that they may be his brothers, but they all have different mothers. Since Henry and Gary have the same mother, they have a different connection. Henry brings up how Noah has seemingly mastered Leviathan, but Noah tells him it's all thanks to him for telling him that it has its own will. He asks him how he manages to carry such a heavy weapon around, and Noah pulls it out of nowhere, surprising Henry. He tells him that he hides it in his sleeve and that the sword taught him how to do that. Henry sees this as unprecedented, since the sword had its own will and was isolated for 2 centuries as a national treasure. He simply calls Noah amazing. That night, one of the fools begging gets frustrated and yells at Noah to not ignore them. His friends try to calm him down, but he keeps saying that he will kill Noah anywhere and anytime. This prompts Noah to force him down with a gaze. Henry then asks what he did this time, and Noah tells him that he only unleashed a tiny bit of Leviathan's power and used it to threaten them. Later, he meets with a gentleman named Reincarnation and enters the building. Everyone claps as he walks through, seeing that he is the 13th prince and very dignified given his age. Reincarnation then asks what is on his waist, and Noah tells him that it is Leviathan, gifted to him by the crown prince. Everyone is speechless, seeing as it's a national treasure. However, one bum says that it's just a toy replica, and everyone hears him. This leads Leviathan to unleash its aura at everyone in the vicinity, leaving them in agony. Noah stops Leviathan and also praises him. Funnily enough, they all praise the prince for being able to control such a weapon and realize it is very much not a replica. Reincarnation then asks Noah what they should do with the foolish man, but Noah tells him to leave him be. Later that evening, everyone lines up and introduces themselves to the prince. A man named Byron Allen, the head of the Allen Company, comes forward and introduces his daughter, Cindy Allen. Noah can tell that his daughter is adopted and notes that he has the bearing of someone high class, whereas his daughter does not. Byron is amazed by how keen Noah is, but Noah says that Byron took in a former slave as a daughter, and he could tell by her look. Byron says that he is correct, and that he originally bought her as a slave, but since she learns quickly, he's been teaching her as his adopted daughter. Noah loves this and tells him that he will invite him to his mansion sometime to hear more about her. They quickly leave, and Noah notes that Byron knew when to leave, as staying any longer would invite envy. He also says there was another reason he could tell she wasn't his real daughter. She had been protecting Byron since the first time he used Leviathan, whereas a girl her age would normally defend herself. The next day, Oscar, the 8th prince, sees Noah and asks what he's up to. Noah tells him that he's taking a stroll, and Oscar calls him interesting for moving without a carriage. He tells Noah to join him on a treasure hunt. They're on Cobalt Street, a place where antiques from all over the empire can be found, as well as counterfeits. They look at different items, and Noah asks the vendor how much a book costs. He says 3 rein, and Noah buys it instantly. Oscar notices that it's the Grimoire of Andrea, the legendary sorcerer. He says that it's a treasure and could go for 1,000 rein. He asks how Noah knew what it was, but Noah didn't. The moment he touches it, a plus is added to his win stat. Only beings with wills of their own can add to his stats. The book opens up and releases the sorcerer's soul within it. Oscar tells Noah to run, as it's a vengeful spirit, but Noah strikes it down with Leviathan and quickly notices that it added an S to his stat. Noah asks Oscar if he's fine, and Oscar says he is. He asks if there were any damages, but Noah says he aimed upward, so there shouldn't be. Oscar's amazed at his quick thinking and didn't realize he had become so strong. One of the vendors approaches Noah and, having witnessed his power, asks him to see an artifact. They go to the shop, and the vendor says that it's a ring said to only show its true form when true power appears. He has shown it to many people, but the ring never responds. Noah thinks it may be trash, but the vendor says that he has tried to get rid of it many times, only for it to keep coming back. Noah tries it on, and the ring instantly responds. It speaks and recognizes Noah as its owner, then armorizes him, coating him in armor. Noah sees no change to his stats, so it isn't the same as Leviathan or the Grimoire. However, he says he'll take it and will have the payment sent over. Oscar says he'll handle the payment, and that Noah should consider it a present, saying there's something different about him. He drops him off, and Noah is attacked by one of those foolish bums. However, he uses the ring as a shield, and the fool is immediately apprehended. Oscar asks him what he just did, and Noah tells him that he linked the gift to Leviathan, and that it reacted to hostility with automatic defense. Oscar marvels at how incredible Noah is. He goes back to hear the young girl sing. He wants to tell her that the man is done for after attacking him, so she has nothing to worry about. However, two fools rush in and battle over who will take her. Noah stops the altercation and tells the owner not to let guys like them in anymore. The owner says that customers like them keep his business going, so Noah says he'll purchase the business and buys it immediately for 1,000 rein, which the owner accepts happily. The lady asks how she can repay him for all his help, but he tells her to sing, and sing well, because he wants her to sing for the emperor one day, so she should devote herself. She agrees, and the show goes on. The episode starts off with Noah being told that he has a guest, Dead Marley, the Governor General of Wholejoy. Noah tells his maids to let him in. We learn that the royal family has a custom of granting fiefs to princes so they can learn about governing affairs, and for that reason, the people of each fief revere the prince serving as their lord as if he were a monarch. Dead Marley was born in Almeria, but now works in a land called Wholejoy, and he is no exception. He greets Noah, but Noah informs him there's no need for formalities and tells him to have a seat, noting that this is the second time they've met, the first being about a year and a half ago when the emperor appointed Dead Marley as governor general. Noah asks him how things are going. Since the last he recalls, Marley was given an imperial order to manage flood control in Wholejoy. We're also told that Wholejoy is a fertile, grain-producing region located at the bend of a large river, but it suffers from flooding on occasion. Because of this, the emperor appointed Marley in hopes that he would stabilize it. Noah asks him what the problem is, and Marley responds by saying that they haven't received any funding and can't use money they don't have. This surprises Noah, as this was an imperial order. Marley then explains that the Home Ministry keeps coming up with excuses not to provide the funds. Noah understands this and tells Marley to step out with him. We then see Noah meeting with the fat Minister of Finance, Maverick. Noah tells Maverick that Marley has informed him they haven't received any funds from his department. Maverick denies this, so Noah asks him why the funds haven't been sent. Maverick claims there's a good reason for it, but Noah tells him that if he's about to say a child like him wouldn't understand, then he should remain silent. Maverick denies any such intent and explains that Wholejoy suffered flood damage yet again last year, so the emperor granted them a full year of tax exemption. Because of that, they have leftover tax money, and in his opinion as Minister of Finance, that money should be used instead. Noah responds by telling him that he is simply belittling him, shocking everyone present. Maverick denies this and says he cannot send money now, because Noah is aware of the plan to build the emperor's summer retreat. He explains that they need to build an enormous villa befitting the young emperor, as he won't be young forever. This upsets Noah, and he tells the fat minister that he is committing a grave crime against the royal family, essentially saying, this flooded region needs flood control, but we're building a villa, so we can't spare the money. Noah asks Maverick if he thinks his father is a fool. Maverick immediately begins begging, saying he meant nothing of the sort. Noah then orders him to distribute the funds, or he will speak to the emperor personally, causing Maverick to rush off to do just that. Seeing this, Marley begins praising the young prince, expressing his utmost gratitude and complimenting his negotiation skills, while also apologizing for putting him in such a foolish position. However, all Noah sees is that Marley tried to take advantage of his status as a prince to force his demands through. Marley then sets out to proceed with the flood control measures, bidding Noah farewell. Shortly after, Noah is approached with a message from the emperor, summoning him to appear in person. Noah arrives before the emperor, who tells him to relax, and congratulates him on handling the matter with Maverick. Noah is shocked at how quickly the emperor learned of this, as it had just happened. But the emperor simply tells him that information is a weapon, and that he should make a habit of keeping his blade polished. The emperor explains that there are many slick tongues skilled in flattery, and few people who can naturally do the right thing, but Noah did. He praises his 6-year-old son and tells him to stand. The emperor is surprised by how Leviathan looks and considers it remarkable that Noah has mastered such a sword despite its dark history. He tells Noah that it would serve him well to learn the techniques to wield it properly, and reveals that he has summoned a swordsmanship instructor, Damian Noble, the Empire's greatest swordsman. Damien offers to spar with Noah to test his aptitude rather than technique, since he's only a child, and the Emperor agrees. As the spar begins, Noah draws Leviathan, and the memories of its past users begin to flow into him, allowing him to completely dominate Damien. Damien apologizes to the Emperor, saying there's nothing more he can teach the young prince. He explains that, while Noah's strength and speed are that of a child, his technique alone was enough to disarm him, stating that their glorious prince already possesses the swordsmanship of a master, and that it would be presumptuous to try to teach him. The Emperor understands this and laughs proudly, once again praising Noah and telling him that he will serve as the head judge of this year's Knight Selection exam. Noah accepts the task gracefully. We're then told that the Knight Selection exam is an annual event involving participants from all corners of the empire. In this nation, which treasures its military, it's said that the way of the warrior is the only path to success by merit. Fighters who win their regional preliminaries meet in the capital for the final battle, and the one who emerges victorious earns the title of Knight and immediately joins the upper ranks of society. The first job of the new knight is to become a subordinate of the head judge, leading Noah to realize that having a strong knight in his service would make him even stronger. The Emperor asks Damien how Noah should judge the event, whether by round robin or elimination, but notes that the decision belongs to the head judge. Noah requests that the regional preliminaries be abolished and that all judging be done in the capital under his supervision. He explains that the empire is vast, and he can't personally oversee every regional preliminary, so he doesn't want strong candidates excluded for arbitrary reasons. He's told to do as he pleases. Later, Noah asks Zoe if there will be any knights participating from her village. She says yes, as one person will be sent to bring glory back home. Noah tells her he's done away with the preliminaries this year, meaning they can send as many as they like. However, Zoe explains that their village only sends one challenger due to the cost of lodging and food, and that even sending one person requires every villager to chip in. Hearing this, Noah tells her he will cover all travel and lodging expenses. Zoe wonders if that will cost a lot of money, but Noah explains that it doesn't mean starting from scratch. He calls in Dylan and orders him to find out how many vacant houses exist in the capital and to buy them all. If that's not enough, they should build more dormitories. He also tells him to contact all connected merchants, earning praise from Zoe. Noah later meets with one of the merchants, who presents him with the total cost. Noah points out that the calculation can't be right, as it covers food for the entire duration of the exam and would leave the merchant at a severe loss. The merchant acknowledges this, but says it's fine since it's a request from the 13th prince himself. Noah sees through this and reminds him that merchants don't give money out of compassion, asking what he really wants. The merchant admits he wants the use of an available slot in the palace employment exam, which is on the same scale as the knight selection exam. He wants information on what kind of people are hired. Noah realizes he wants to place a girl there, and deduces that if the merchant had someone in the palace, he'd gain early access to information. If she were chosen to spend nights with the emperor as a consort, the profits would be immeasurable. Noah agrees on the condition that it must be a girl he personally approves of, and only then will he put in a word. They agree, and the merchant kneels, further praising Noah and requesting permission to display Noah's crest as his store sign, fully pledging himself. Noah approves but warns that he won't tolerate betrayal. Noah notes that adding Byron the merchant as a subordinate increased his stats. However, he notices one stat has decreased and immediately realizes something has happened in Almeria. He orders Zoe to have the driver head to the palace. Upon arrival, Noah informs the emperor, only to learn that he already knows. The report indicates 5,000 rebels, though Noah notes the number is low and that it's within his own fief. The emperor asks if Noah wants to handle it himself, but Noah declines, stating he's still young and inexperienced in combat, and suggests his brother Henry instead. The emperor praises his judgment once again. On the way out, Noah rides with Henry, who asks if he truly doesn't want to take the mission, noting that such an achievement would be a huge benefit at his age. Noah explains that while he might survive, his inexperience would lead to many soldiers dying in vain. This earns him further praise. Suddenly, Noah senses malice and stops the carriage. Realizing the threat posed by some of the rebels, he chooses to deal with it himself. He blocks their water-based attack and cuts them down swiftly. Henry remarks on how much stronger Noah has become in just a few days. He suggests interrogating them, but Noah explains that he didn't kill them. He merely knocked them out, using Leviathan's threat. He leaves them to Henry and asks about cavalry availability, as Almeria lacks a strong supply of war horses, which Henry confirms. The next day, Noah calls Byron and asks if he does business in the area surrounding Almeria. When Byron confirms, Noah warns him that if this information leaks, he will die. Noah reveals that there is a rebellion in Almeria, and that cavalry units are the core of their forces. He gives Byron 10,000 rein to buy up all the horse feed in the fief, since war horses aren't raised in Almeria and the rebel horses were purchased elsewhere. There's only so much feed they can steal from citizens. If they resort to stealing military rations, they'll be forced into open looting. Byron praises Noah's brilliance and immediately gets to work. Later, the emperor says that the assassins have given them useful information and that the rebels were trying to kidnap Noah as a bargaining chip. Noah points out that they gave in rather easily and could be lying. The emperor praises this as clever thinking, but tells him not to worry as there is a way to find out if someone is telling the truth. Noah responds by saying that it takes a thief to catch a thief, and since he's not knowledgeable in the ways of torture, he'll take their word for it. The emperor congratulates Noah and tells him that if he had been captured, the empire would have been forced to make a difficult decision. He also praises Noah for targeting their horses, calling it a brilliant move. Noah is shocked, as he had only just given the order to alter the horse feed. This has happened before, but never this quickly. The emperor explains that anyone could have thought of using starvation tactics. In fact, Albert, the second prince, had suggested starving the rebels to make an example of them. However, Noah realized that doing so could provoke them into attacking civilians. The emperor praises Noah's thinking skills, as well as his ability to act on them. Noah thanks him, and the emperor says he must reward him somehow. He then grants Noah permission to add a sword to his crest, shocking him. We learn that the empire is a nation of warriors, and adding a sword, the symbol of a warrior, to one's crest without the emperor's permission is sacrilege, punishable by death. On the other hand, being granted permission to add one is among the greatest honors possible. The emperor tells his assistant to issue the command, and Noah thanks him. Later, while walking, Noah runs into Byron, who tells him he has been waiting. Byron explains that there are only so many types of feed designed to be transported, and since they know the route used to bring it in, buying it all won't be difficult. However, regarding Carfin, the leader of the rebels, Byron warns that he is extremely tenacious and will do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. He tells Noah to be careful. As they talk, Zoe interrupts and apologizes, saying that there is a wounded man at the gate who claims to have an urgent report. At the gate, the man greets Noah and introduces himself as a decurion from the province of Adora in Almeria. He explains that a rebellion has begun there, and while his superior suggested joining the uprising, he couldn't go along with it. Instead, he fled to report the situation. Noah thanks him for his loyalty and tells Zoe to treat his wounds. He then orders her to give the man a reward of 1,000 rein, shocking Byron. Byron approaches Noah afterward and asks why he rewarded him, considering the information was already known. Noah agrees, but explains that a mere decurion traveled all this way despite the danger, simply to report the truth, and such loyalty must be rewarded. Later, Zoe approaches Noah looking pale and suddenly falls to her knees. She hands him a bag containing 500 rein and explains that someone she didn't recognize gave it to her as payment for making him drink from a bottle. She was told it was a sleeping drug. Noah immediately realizes it was the rebels. He asks Zoe why she brought this to him instead of betraying him. She tells him she could never betray him, especially after everything he did for her mother and village. Even when the rebels threatened to kill her, she refused. Noah understands and writes her a reward, handing her 5,000 rein. She insists it's too much, but he tells her to take it. As she begins to thank him, Noah tells her that he is going to take the drug and that she will lead him to the rebels. He instructs her to leave immediately afterward. We then see Noah waking up. He notices that his hands and feet are bound, but he discreetly releases Leviathan from his ear. They didn't even take his ring, so he uses it to free himself. He realizes he's in a wagon outdoors and tells Leviathan to show him its memories. We see the rebels tying him up, Zoe fleeing, and them loading Noah onto the wagon to escape. Understanding the situation, Noah stands up. The rebels notice him, but are quickly shown the difference in strength. Noah tells them it's a waste of time. He had hoped to extract information, but they're nothing more than minions. They attack him, only to be swiftly cut down. After dealing with them, Noah sees Zoe approaching with knights. She notices him and rushes over. He asks what the meaning of this is, and she apologizes, explaining that she was worried and came to save him, but he handled everything himself. Noah asks who the captain is, and the man steps forward. Noah orders him to take care of the attackers, as they were the ones who assaulted him a few days earlier. He then notices a sword falling from one of the rebels and tells the knight not to touch it and to step back. A sinister aura emanates from the blade. Noah explains that he can see the curse thanks to Leviathan. The sword is filled with the hatred of the one who cursed it. Using Leviathan, Noah takes to the sky and tracks down the sorcerer responsible. The next day, the Emperor praises Noah. The previous night, the rebel leader was pierced by a pillar of water, and the Emperor confirms that Noah was responsible. Noah explains that he used the hatred within the cursed weapon to guide Leviathan to the rebel leader. With their leader gone, the Almerian rebels were swiftly suppressed by the fourth prince, Henry. A messenger reports that nearly all conspirators have been arrested and asks what punishment should be carried out. The Emperor orders the horses and cattle prepared, declaring that every last one of them will be drawn and quartered, much to everyone's delight. However, Noah steps forward and objects, shocking the room. The Emperor asks him to explain himself. Noah says that punishment must be carried out according to imperial law. Rebel leaders are to be cut in half at the waist, third-degree supporters are to be hanged, and all others are to be beheaded. He states that drawing and quartering does not exist in the law. The Emperor points out that they sullied Noah's name, but Noah responds that if the Emperor himself breaks the law, it could undermine imperial authority. He respectfully asks him to reconsider. The room falls silent. After a moment, the Emperor admits Noah caught his mistake. Still, he insists that the punishment be carried out to the fullest extent of the law, with no commutations. Noah replies that he has no objections. The Emperor turns to the first Prime Minister, Neugil, and tells him to begin preparations. Everyone praises Noah for his bravery in correcting the Emperor, calling him a true genius. The Emperor then stands and offers Noah another reward. He says that while any of his children may admonish him, doing so correctly requires talent. He grants Noah the title of wise. Noah thanks him, and the Emperor remarks that he wishes Noah had been born earlier. The court erupts in praise for the wise prince. The Emperor then mentions that the knight selection exam is approaching and asks how Noah plans to judge it. Noah replies that he has a plan and would like to demonstrate it. Later, we see Noah explaining his idea. He plans to have the participants attack him directly and judge them based on how close their attacks come. The Emperor finds this brilliant, as it reduces Noah's workload and simplifies judgment. However, he acknowledges the risk. If a contender breaks through Noah's defenses, it could be dangerous. Noah assures him he's prepared, and the Emperor places his trust in him. That evening, the Emperor speaks privately with Neugil. Neugil remarks that publicly saying he wished Noah had been born earlier might have been excessive. The Emperor laughs it off, saying he sees no issue. After all, Noah admonished him properly and defeated the rebel leader without ever stepping onto the battlefield. The Emperor summons a servant and tells him to bring it in. He then remarks that legend says the true seal of Leviathan must never be broken, but perhaps if it were Noah. The next day, a ceremony is held for the Knight's Selection Exam, the biggest annual event in the kingdom. The exam draws the attention of many in the empire, but this year in particular sees a prince personally serving as the head judge, a first in history. The first contender attacks, but is unable to breach Noah's defense, and everyone starts to think it's impossible, as no one has laid a finger on the prince. The Emperor watches from a distance, and his servant says that this year's exam is far more entertaining than the previous one. But the Emperor says that that's not what is important. The Knight's Selection Exam is for choosing worthy soldiers, and he looks forward to seeing what soldier Noah will select. The next examiner uses fire magic to attack Noah, but he is still left untouched. The sun is setting, and there have been no noteworthy candidates so far, but the last candidate steps up and rushes in with her sword. She is able to crack the shield and eventually pierces through it, appearing to have injured the prince. The young lady is held down by the guards, and everyone thinks she's in trouble for injuring the prince. However, he tells them to let her go and asks for her name. She says her name is Shirley Grants, and he tells her that she passes, surprising her. Noah says that he didn't name his standards, but she's clearly passed. Later, he asks her if she owns the fine armor she's wearing, and she says she does, explaining that it's been handed down in her family for generations. She asks what he meant by saying she passed and what her sentence will be for wounding him. Noah notes that she did so by mistake, and there will be no sentence since she was told to attack him. He tells Shirley to stand and use the same attack on him again. She is hesitant at first, but strikes again. However, she is unable to penetrate his shield. He tells her that he would have done this if he really wanted to block her attack, so she didn't wound him by mistake, essentially. A knight's job is to follow orders, and so he wanted to see if she would execute his orders faithfully, since he doesn't need a knight who holds back out of fear of him. Shirley sees Noah's resolve and pledges her undying loyalty to him for the rest of her life. He sees that Shirley has raised his stat the most when it comes to people, and Zoe comes in with a doctor. The strike didn't hit any bones or organs, and Noah asks Shirley what the problem is. She says that she is impressed that a cut can be treated in such a way, as in her village the elders simply pray for those who are injured or exorcise the root of their illness. The doctor says that this is common in most poor villages, and Noah asks if the quickest way to becoming a doctor is by becoming an apprentice. The doctor confirms this, and Noah gives Shirley the order to bring the most clever, hard-working people from her village to him. He tells the doctor to take a few of them in as apprentices, as he'll cover the expense. Shirley thanks him, but Noah tells her that knights do not bow like that, so she'll need to brush up on her etiquette. The next morning, Shirley dresses up and comes down. Zoe asks if she slept well, but she says she didn't really, seeing as she's in an unfamiliar room, as even servant rooms are a luxury under a prince. They see a group of maids causing a commotion and ask what the reason is. The maids say that they're imagining what sort of lady their master Noah will marry. Shirley says he's only 6. However, the maids say that the other princes were married before they turned 15. Zoe thinks this is rude, but another maid says that the prince is just loved, and they've seen how in the cafes in front of the house, many girls gather hoping to see the prince and catch his eye. Evelyn says all the time that there is no prince anywhere who is kinder than Noah. They ask Zoe if she loves him herself, but she says no. However, they catch her lie, as she's been studying magic lately, all for her master. She says she just wants to be useful to him, and is happy to serve him. Noah is told that the knight's selection exam is complete, and is given the report for the participants. The knight thanks him for his screening methods, since all the knights this year are exceptional and have expressed their gratitude. Noah tells him to tell them that he's grateful for their help in running it as well, and tells Shirley to see him off. As he sets off, Shirley thanks him for paying them a visit, but the knight tells her that they're both knights, so such formality isn't needed. The knight realizes that Noah sent her off to see off the lowly knight as part of her training. He gives her a word of advice as her senior. You can't go wrong if you stick with him. Later, Alice performs at the mansion for Noah, and Byron and his daughter make an appearance. He congratulates Noah on the success of the knight's selection exam. However, Noah tells him that the party is to congratulate them both, and that they shouldn't waste their time with him, and should go enjoy themselves. He also tells them that there are merchants with deep ties to the 13th prince's house, so they can cultivate friends. The performance ends, and Zoe brings a letter addressed to Noah. Zoe tells him that the guard at the door said the person who delivered it ran away, and that it may contain classified information, which is why she brought it. He opens it and sees that there's unsettling movement among the remnants of the Almerian rebels. Whoever delivered this has gone back to investigate undercover. He realizes that it's the soldier from before who informed him long ago. Zoe mentions that the man seemed to admire him a great deal. Noah considers this bad, as playing pretend spy with no training is too dangerous. If exposed, he'll be killed. Noah says that his brother Henry should be there, and that he'll send a message asking him to stop this. Later, Noah receives a return letter saying that the man was exposed and tortured. He refused to talk, and so they showed him no mercy. However, his brother's unit got to him, but he was still unconscious. Noah considers this his fault, and says that if he had put the Emperor's information is a weapon lesson into practice, then this wouldn't have happened. He tells Zoe to send Almeria a message, saying he'll spare no expense and that the boy should get anything necessary, be it doctors or money. Noah steps out to buy his brother Henry a gift as thanks for suppressing the rebellion. He looks at different jewelry items and notices a specific one that catches even Shirley's eye. He's told that it was left behind by the uncommonly skilled artisan Lindsay, and that only 2 like these exist. Noah decides to take it and offers 10,000 rein, giving extra for being shown such a fine piece. Just then, Oscar walks in, saying he came into the store when they told him Noah was there. Oscar notices the piece and says that he has the other one. Hearing this, Noah goes on to shatter the piece, shocking everyone there. He tells the merchant that the payment is still his, and that he should spread the rumor that the second glass piece was broken. Oscar says that this will greatly increase the value of the other one, and Noah agrees, saying that when it comes to treasure, the fastest wins. He did it to increase Oscar's piece's value. Oscar says that he didn't achieve this kind of mastery until he was an adult with his own fief. They part ways and Noah chooses a different gift. As they leave, he asks Shirley what she's thinking about, and she says that it's been nothing but surprises since she started serving him. Even the artwork surprised her when he destroyed it. However, Noah says that it's just an object, and that those who risk their lives to bring him information, work their hardest, and devote their loyalty to him are the real treasures, including her. Shirley marvels at the prince, saying that he's like the benevolent rulers she saw in plays, and says she'll serve him for the rest of her life. 6 years pass, and we see Noah much older as he walks through the castle halls, now 12 years of age.